I'm Alan Roman. I am, first of all, I want to congratulate really everybody in the room. I travel coast to coast in the United States, putting on training events, some with financial producers, some with financial professionals, some with groups of clients like this. But I want to tell you right now that I don't work this closely with anybody unless they are looking out for their clients' interests 24/7, have a fantastic, clean reputation, and they just do what they say they're going to do. So I want to congratulate everybody here for being associated and working with and entrusting Coastal Financial. They're just spectacular, second to none. And I'll say this from the bottom of my heart. If I had somebody to manage my money, it'd be Rick Durkee, it'd be Daryl Fayal, it'd be this team. So congratulations. What I'm going to do is walk you through, first of all, how many in here knew about a tax act that just came out? Anybody? Okay, about half. So I'm going to walk through the changes that took place in the tax act. How many in here are business owners? Former business owner? Okay, just one. There have been some significant changes for business owners that I'll breeze through a little bit, just to give you a heads up on what some of the thought process was. But this is called the Secure Act of 2019. It is actually literally named after setting every community up for retirement enhancement. So they played with the words to get the act, the Secure Act. So I've been following this for about 8 or 9 months. It came out of the House of Representatives with a commanding 417-3 positive vote. Came to the Senate. The Senate had another bill pending in the Senate that did some of the same things, but not quite in the same way. So pretty much both of those bills got stalled in the Senate. And as of December the 1st, every resource that I take a look at, from the Wall Street Journal to a lot of industry experts, said there's no way this thing's going to pass before the end of the year. Maybe it'll be a 2020. They're probably going to wait until the election at the end of 2020. Anyway, no one expected it to happen. What did happen is that in early December, the Secure Act bill was attached to the 2019 spending bill, which the president then signed a couple of days later on December 20, and it became law. It became law effective January 1, 2020. It includes 29 changes in tax provisions. And I have to say, it's relatively rare for a new tax law with a name in it that it actually works toward accomplishing. This one actually does it. This one is very, very heavily based in expanding retirement plans for everybody from full-time to part-time employees, allowing small businesses to band together. You'll see as I get through that slide, but this one actually is very heavily weighted in retirement planning for everybody. So I'll give you credit for that. First thing that came through that affects a lot of us, if not now, in the near future, who can tell me what a required minimum distribution is? Yes, ma'am.
It's what you have to take in order, theoretically, by the time you die, you won't get any money left to die.
You got to take your money out sooner or later. The IRS said sooner because they want what? What do they want? Taxes. Okay, so your RMDs are there to make sure that you take out money. Up until December 31st of last year, you had to start at what age? 70 and a half. As of January 1, if you didn't already turn 70 and a half, and if you didn't already start your RMDs, you can wait to age 72. So they gave us another year and a half. This is the government's version of acknowledging that we all live about 20 years longer than we used to. We'll give you an extra year and a half. Not the tax money. But this is still big. So the big is if you turn 70 and a half by 12/31/2019, you're still stuck with the 70 and a half rule. Otherwise, you're good to go for 72. Questions on this? Everybody understands? So we can wait for our RMDs until what age? 72. There you go. Is anybody taking their RMDs now? You already are. Okay. So nothing changes. There was also a restriction on the age that you could put money into an IRA, regardless of whether you were still working or not. Also 70 and a half. That's been revoked. So now if you can be 83 years old and still working and be able to put money into an IRA. No limit on that. Question that we see and that I see in my work is it's still up to all of you to determine whether it's better to put money into an IRA and defer tax or gift that money or just pay tax on the money now and have it grow income tax free or income tax deferred in a Roth IRA or life insurance. So questions on that? Everybody understands that? Rick?
Yeah. So I'm 82 years old and I'm not working for another company. I'm not having earned income, so I can't make a contribution to an IRA.
Right.
But I want to start up a little business.
Yeah.
I could do that and start up an IRA then, if I had my own business.
Put yourself on payroll.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I could set up a little LLC, go to South Carolina Business One Stop, set it up for $150 and start making.
Absolutely. And start paying yourself payroll.
Yeah.
Yep. You might want to be making some money doing it too, though.
So it could be a little home-based, could be a little home-based business,
Yeah.
it could be any type of
Yeah.
business.
Yep. Selling all the old baseball cards, selling your coin collection, whatever. Yeah.
Selling stuff on eBay or whatever.
Yeah. Yes.
My son has an LLC, I think it is.
Okay.
How does that work with IRAs?
Well, he owns the LLC as long as he's also an employee and he's drawing income down, then he has no problem. He can do IRAs. He can build his own. If he has an LLC, he can build his own plan, his own retirement plan inside his business as well. There's a lot better things than IRAs to be able to put money away.
Simple.
Yep, it's way better.
That was the big
Yeah.
question.
Yeah,
Can someone with an LLC do a simple IRA?
I'm gonna hold on. I don't know if there's any restrictions on that. I believe he can, but I'm not gonna.
Right.
We'll find out for you.
Remember, I'm being recorded.
Question for David Romer, please.
So so part of our portfolio with you includes IRAs. So now you would potentially put money in those IRAs?
We could, if you could make contributions from earned income, you could put money into those IRAs, yes.
Okay, Social Security earned income is not. It's got to be from an employer.
It's got to be from a W-2 or a 1099 from an employer.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But again, you could do that, setting up your own little business pretty easy.
Absolutely.
And I mentioned it before, but online, South Carolina Business One Stop, easy way to set up a small business.
There you go.
Because the government does realize one other thing, that the majority of our economy is driven by small business.
Amen. You'll see that in a minute. Plan expansion for businesses, since we brought it up. There's several parts of the Secure Act that expand opportunities within small businesses to begin, not only for the company itself, but for all their employees, different types of plans. So for many, many years, a lot of small businesses have not been able to put together retirement plans for their people. Why? The cost of setting up a retirement plan, the cost of administering a retirement plan, the cost of making sure that you are administratively correct in administering that plan, a lot of different expenses. This act puts some things in place. So I'm going to walk through these slides a little bit quickly because there's a slide I want to get to at the end that does affect all of us. So let's talk about the business expansions. Multiple employer plans wherein a group of unrelated businesses, could be anything from a dry cleaner to a beauty parlor to a construction company, are able to band together under an umbrella. So the umbrella is what hasn't developed yet, but I expect there to be groups like some of the big wirehouses, some of the big investment groups, where they will start putting together groups of plans underneath. So I could join that plan, or I can join that plan over there, and I'll have to just compare what they each offer. This gives small businesses the ability to band together and do it. The biggest piece of this is the second sentence. Each member of that plan is shielded from liability from all the other people that join, other groups that join that plan. So that's been an issue for many years in putting together group plans. I don't want to be liable for something that guy across the street that wasn't right, wasn't legal. So that's one of the big changes. Small businesses can now also get a credit, upfront tax credit. Not just a write-off, but a tax credit. Used to be up to $500, now it's up to $5,000. And that would be for individual startup costs on a new plan. So if I happen to have a small business, I could not only band together from the prior slide, but I could get up to $5,000 back as a credit if I spend twice that on setting that plan up. So it's 50% up to $5,000. A big bonus for your LLC. Also, for that same business owner, if he allows automatic enrollment. So if I make sure that all my employees, as soon as they're on board for 30 days, they're automatically in the plan, I get another $500 credit as a business owner. So the Act provides expansion of a lot of different business opportunities. It pushes back RMDs at age what? 72. It encourages the use of it. Actually, this is really interesting. How many in here get statements from their brokerage firm on their investments? Tells you the balance, right?
Mhm.
Does it tell you what you could expect in income from that money? Or just gives you a balance? Just gives you a balance. So my 401k statement or my investment account, let's say I have $100,000 in there. It doesn't tell me what I should expect for income from that $100,000 because I'm not going to live off $100,000. What I'm going to live off of is what I get every month, automatic payments for my investments. I want to know what my income is because I can trust my income. So the act actually not only allows, but actually is going to have a part of the act is going to require employers to show their employees not just what their balance is, but what that balance might be worth in monthly or annual income in retirement, which is it's a big win because too many people have the money in the investment side and aren't thinking about their income. And at our ages, we need to be thinking about income. So all these changes, expansion of retirement plans, pushing back the RMDs, allowing additional IRAs, are those revenue generators or are they a revenue cost for the government? Cost. Government's going to make less money, right? So how do they make up for it? Here's what we did. Here's what they did. Well, okay. Oh, what happened? My slides just went sideways. Hold on. Missing a slide. What happened? It's speeding through. Here it is. Okay. In order to offset the tax advantages that we've just talked about, there's something called an inherited IRA or a stretch IRA. So, for an example, I have an IRA. And my IRA or my 401k says that at my death, my spouse gets the money. You'll see that that's okay. My spouse can take that money and put it in her own IRA, and she can take the money over her lifetime. That's not going to change. There's other changes that you are going to see in a minute. In the next slide, hopefully, it'll lay that out. So here we go. So a spouse can take it out over her lifetime. Anybody else, other than my spouse, is limited to taking it out. They've got to take it all out within 10 years of my death. So if I have my son and daughter as beneficiaries of my qualified money, upon my death, the clock starts running. And 10 years from now, all the money has to be spent. Why? Because they have to pay tax on it. Government wants their tax money. So there's a 10-year, basically it's a 10-year rule. There's no timing on it. They can take it all out in the 10th year. They can take it out a little bit every year. They've got 10 years to take it all out. Then there's a couple other exceptions. If I have a beneficiary, say it's my grandchild or somebody who is chronically ill, they have 10 years. They can take it out over their lifetime. So these are exceptions to the 10-year rule. A minor child, if I have a grandchild who's 14, his 10-year clock doesn't start running until he turns 18. So he has till he reaches the age of majority in the state of residence. So for a minor child or minor beneficiary, their 10 years doesn't start running until they become an adult. Another option is this. I make my brother my beneficiary. My brother's only 1 year younger than me. So the IRS isn't too concerned about 1 year younger and how long it's going to take the money out. He can take it out over his lifetime just as I could have taken it out over my lifetime. So if it's somebody who's a beneficiary that's closer than 10 years to me, that's okay. That doesn't change. So a spouse doesn't change. Somebody who's ill doesn't change, chronically ill, and someone who's close to my age doesn't change. But my kids, my grandkids, those are all 10-year distributions. How many in here have any type of trust with IRA or 401k money in a trust? Okay. It's very common for an attorney, whether it's a generation skipping trust or a multi-generation trust or just an irrevocable permanent trust, very common to put qualified retirement money into that trust. And then that trust will say when the money has to be distributed. It might be over 20 years, it might be over 30 years, it might be when the youngest grandchild turns 21. Anybody who has any retirement money in a trust needs to get a hold of their attorney because that trust language does not coincide with this 10-year rule, and it's got to be amended. So you're going to have to get those trusts amended. So as a former trust attorney, I call that the Trust Attorneys Full Employment Act. Making sure that all trusts that have any qualified retirement money in there are reviewed.
So the trust is subject to these changing rules too?
Yeah, so when the person if I set up a trust, if I'm the grantor of my trust or the settlor of my trust, and I have my kids, let's say it's my kids as beneficiaries of my trust. If I die and my trust says the kids don't have to take it out till they're 35 or 45, you better amend that trust because that trust violates the rule. Great.
Generation skipping.
Yep.
So they just went by the wayside.
To the extent that there's qualified money in.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not hard to amend even in an irrevocable trust. The attorney can just do a one-page amendment that says to the extent that any retirement money is in this trust, distribution must follow the then existing tax law, Secure Act 2019.
And just for everyone's understanding, qualified versus non-qualified money is simple equation is think that qualified money is any retirement plan assets, 401k, 403b, TSP,
IRA.
457s, IRAs, simple IRAs.
Yeah.
You know, all of those are qualified monies. They have not been taxed yet. Non-qualified money has been taxed, and now you're only going to get taxed on the growth, depending on what type of investment vehicle you're in.
Yeah, think of it as it's qualified for a tax deduction. When you put the money in there, that donation, that contribution comes off your income. Questions so far? How are we doing? So far, so good? Anybody in here done a Roth conversion? Excellent. So Roth conversion, you're paying tax on your money, on your IRA money in the year you take it out, but you're putting it into a Roth IRA, which grows basically tax-free plus all the growth. So a great time to think about if you have a trust where you're going to be distributing money over a long period of time, if it's got to come out in 10 years anyway to the beneficiaries, think about paying tax now at today's rates, and the rest is tax-free, and then it passes on. Or buying a life insurance policy with the net after-tax money, so now you're multiplying the benefit to your grandkids or your trust beneficiaries. Everybody puzzled? Everybody good? All right. How the food's wearing in now. I can sense it.
Good old pride.
I can sense it. All right, I'm not done, but any questions on the Secure Act? Everybody good? All right, how many in here are aware of the estate and gift laws? Okay. Does everybody understand that every year, so the estate tax and the estate credits come in based on your net worth? Used to be you could shelter $1.2 million from estate taxes. Now it's at over $11 million per person, meaning two spouses are over $22 million that they can shelter from estate tax. Problem is, you only pay estate taxes based on the law that's in effect when? When you die. Sir, you need to.
You didn't take a merit slip for that.
Yeah, so the estate tax that applies to me is the estate tax that's law when I die. All right. However, I have an opportunity. Between my wife and I, we can take $22 million. If we have $22 million sitting around, we can take $22 million or $1 million or $2 million. I don't know what it's going to be when I die. We could take a certain amount of money and either gift it directly to our kids or put it in a trust that will eventually benefit our kids. Now, this is after-tax money. There's no 10-year problem with this. And by putting that money out of our name into a trust for our kids, not only is that money out of our estate, all appreciation on that money is out of our estate forever. So that if the year 20 whatever comes along and I pass away, not only have I locked in today's credit, the $11 million, but all the appreciation, it's all out of my estate. So it is something to consider making gifts now on top of your normal gifting, your normal Christmas and birthdays. Think about putting enough money either in a trust or a direct gift to the kids. Taking the money out of your estate now, because we don't know what it's going to be. And I can say right now that it's pretty much a lock that depending on who's in office the year I die, if college debts have all been erased and if everybody gets free Medicare and if whatever, it's going to cost some tax dollars, a lot of tax dollars. And they're coming after everybody who has a lot of money, and depending on what a lot of money is, depends on who the definition is. It might be $1 million, it might be, who knows. Bottom line, you can lock in today's credits with some over-the-top gifting and yet still maintain control by using a trust. Questions, thoughts? So something to consider with Rick and Rick's team and with their attorney, all right? Just give it some thought, great idea. Anybody in here have highly appreciated real estate or highly appreciated assets? Okay? When you sell an asset and you have a big gain on it, let's say I paid $100,000 for my house and I sell it for $1 million. I have a $900,000 gain. Do I pay tax on the $900,000? I'm sure. Aside, if I sell it, 1031 would be in exchange for another piece of property.
Right.
But if I sell a piece of real estate and I have a $900,000 gain on it, I will pay a 20% tax on that $900,000 gain. That's called the capital gains tax. Okay? Yeah. Question?
How long do you have to roll that into another?
You can roll it in under 1031 exchange. Yes, you do. You can do that.
You can't touch the money.
Right.
It's got to be held by some third party.
Yeah. So
And you have 18 months or something.
Now, don't you just get 45 days? How many days?
I don't recall. That's another one. I don't recall the time period. You used to have like,
I think it's
6?
I was going to say 60 or 90.
It's
Yeah.
not
So there's a
much.
time period.
You got to do something.
But if you want to sell it because it's got a big gain on it and you're afraid it's going to drop, you're going to have to pay a capital gains tax. There's a way to avoid a capital gains tax by putting it in a trust called the Charitable Remainder Trust. And the way this, or a CRT, the way that a CRT works is before I sell that land for $1 million, I put it in a trust. And that trust I created, and I get an income tax deduction, not for the full 900, but I get an income tax deduction based on a percentage of the $1 million property that's in that trust. I'm going to retain income. So I'm gonna say I want 5% of that $1 million for 20 years. I'm gonna get $50,000 every year for 20 years. At the end of 20 years, whatever's left of it is gonna go to a charity. And I pick the charity. And I can change the charity, but I'm gonna pick the charity. So I've got 100% of my money working for me for income rather than 80% of my money working for me. So a charitable remainder trust is another option to think about with greatly appreciated property. It could be investments, it could be real estate, whatever. So we've talked about estate taxes, we've talked about gifting to lock in your credit. We've talked about avoiding capital gains tax. We've talked about, if we had more business owners, I tell you right now, if you have a business that is looking toward succession in the near future, make sure you have an agreement, a buy-sell agreement to sell the business, and get it in writing. Put something down in writing. I can't tell you how many times I've worked with very successful business owners who didn't have anything in writing, or if they did, it was old and had not been updated for value, and they're stuck with a big, big problem. Not only succession of the business, but from a standpoint of personal taxes, just you can get really, really badly injured. If you have a business, make sure you have a plan in place for that business to succeed. Thoughts, questions, comments? Yes, ma'am.
I know we're talking dollars and cents. Say I own a home.
Yeah.
And I die, I want to go to my child.
Okay.
So how does that work for making sure that she gets to keep that home?
Well, there's ways to do it. Okay, the simplest way is to put her on as a survivor owner of the home. So it's joint survivor, so it's both you and her as a joint survivor. If something happens to you, God forbid, then she owns the home. There is a type of trust that you can use. You can put a home in a trust. It's called a Qualified Personal Residence Trust, a QPRT. So a QPRT is you've heard of Qualified Personal Residence Trust. You can put your home in that trust and maintain it, and you can be the trustee, and you control everything. But in that trust, just like you would any other trust, you say what happens to that house upon your death. So you have a lot of flexibility. During your lifetime, you're in control. Something happens, probably your daughter becomes the trustee, and she might just take the house and say, I want it outside the trust. But at least you have control of that home. As long as you have, the big thing with the home is obviously probate. You want to avoid probate. So joint survivor life insurance, joint survivor for your life and hers together on that home, that's going to keep it up.
You got a deed of trust.
Pardon?
A deed of trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that keep it out for probate also?
A deed of trust that's in trust then. Yeah. But what you want to do there is so if she has a deed of trust that a home is in, you want to look at, is there a trust involved, an actual trust involved? Is there language in that trust? Typically a deed of trust is, it's a formality. There's not really a trust behind it. So you want to look into, you want to get with an attorney to see, is that free from probate? So check it out. So what's the new RMD age? So I'm 93. Can I put money in an IRA if I have income?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's,
Earn. Thank you. Oh, you're even better. You get extra credit points now.
Up to that amount.
Yes. What else? Let's see what else is going on. There's a lot going on. Yes, Rick. Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, my father just died, and so one of the things that we've done is set everything up for my brothers and I, because we want us to remain brothers.
Yeah. That helps.
Yeah, and it went real smoothly because everything was planned and
Was it in trust or was it
No.
direct gifts or?
some direct gifts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing how many estate attorneys don't have a will. So this question came up today. I had a call and he says, look, I've got a will and I've got a trust and what goes where? And I said, look, the only thing you should have in your will is my baseball cards go to my son, jewelry goes to my daughter, my old Jaguar goes to whatever, my nephew. Here's where the furniture goes. Everything else should be in some type of trust where you can, where it gets passed, because otherwise it's going to go through probate. And even a small estate, you can, with a real small estate, depending on what state you live in, there's usually an expedited probate process, but it's still a pain. And you still have fights over who gets what.
Yes, I can guarantee you this week, my husband had a bank account with about $4,000 in it.
Yeah.
It wasn't in my name and no beneficiary. I'm gonna have to put this in probate.
Right?
It is a pain in the.
It is. It's a pain. It's right there. It's a pain enough. Yeah. All right. I'm done talking. Who's got questions? Any question?
I don't have a question, but I do want to
Yes, sir.
expand on something, please.
Yes.
So we're in the lowest tax rate environment that we've been in a long time.
Many, many years.
Yeah. All right. We've talked about the importance of income planning for all of our clients and developing retirement income plans so that you can see how money goes out through the rest of your life into the future as far as beneficiaries, be it children, grandchildren, charities, foundations, or whatever. Okay. And the topic today is IRAs, okay, where the government wants to get their hands on our money and tax it, because they promised us that they were going to tax defer it and then tax it in our IRAs. And the government and Congress is the IRS. They vote on the rules, okay? So you all are in a business right now, and it's called retirement, and your retirement assets are the assets of that business. Unfortunately, you are not controlling interest partner in that business. The IRS is. They have 51% of the vote. The IRS gave us an opportunity when they developed the Roth IRA, and let me ask this question. At what age do you have to start taking required minimum distributions out from a Roth IRA?
No.
You don't. So wouldn't this be in the lowest tax rate environment, one of our lowest tax rate environments in our nation's history, the prime time to take your IRA dollars and pay taxes on them now, or either later in your life, or maybe never for future generations, or tax-free dollars, especially if you don't have to live off of that IRA money. It's not part of your income. Roth conversions is the best time right now, and one of the opportunities that Alan shared with you there is, it didn't seem like much, but a year and a half gives us a year and a half more time to do that and spread the taxes out so that we're not taking up big lump sums out of those IRAs and paying more taxes on those dollars. So I really want to drive that point home. The Roth IRA is a great opportunity now, and you might say, well, wait a minute. Congress made the rules on the Roth. They said that it would grow tax-free. They said all you have to do is pay taxes on it now. They put a couple rules on it, said you can't touch that Roth money until 5 years or else you're going to get a 10% tax penalty. Well, I'm okay with that. But what if Congress changes the rules and says you can't put money in Roth anymore? Right now it's unlimited. Conversion privileges are unlimited. You can put as much money in there as you want to pay taxes on. What if Congress says no more tax-free growth in IRAs? Well, Congress doesn't change tax rules overnight. You're in a tax-free Roth, and as long as you've been in there for 5 years, all you got to do is change it into what the next best thing is to the Roth, whatever that product is. You're not going to get penalized. So I just want to keep on driving this point home is now is the perfect time to meet with us any other tax advisors that you have, legal advisors that might have set up IRA trusts. Review your beneficiary designations, review who you want that money to go to, how you want that money to go to them in the most tax efficient ways possible, and redo your plans, okay? That's what the purpose of tonight was, and y'all took advantage of that. I appreciate you being here. And there is still some opportunities where we can still stretch money out. Let's just say you decided you wanted to convert some of your IRA and not put it into Roth, but you wanted to put it into an investment because you thought you might live off of it sometime in the future. There's opportunities with non-qualified monies that we can still stretch the money out over lifetimes of our non-spouse beneficiaries. So there's some opportunities in all this. There are some, bottom line that we know that Uncle Sam sees $14 to $15 trillion in untapped, untouched IRA or qualified money assets that haven't been taxed yet. They see it as a big windfall, so they're trying to get it earlier right now. It's going to be a profit center for them. They're needing the money now. So we're seeing some signs now of how our controlling partner in our business, of our IRAs, could affect our future plans for our retirement. So that's why we offered this workshop tonight. We highly encourage you to fill out your green sheets, and if you want to talk about any of the subjects we talked about tonight, or have any other topics of mind or interest, we certainly would love to help you. And that's what we promised you when you became clients with those potential plan groups. So
If I could add anything about everything we've talked about today, this is a fantastic time. In fact, it's a crucial time to make an appointment and get in here at a minimum to review your beneficiary designations on all of your retirement money. Get in, make an appointment, walk through who's the beneficiaries and what the issues are with those beneficiaries. Do we have a 10-year problem? Do we not have a 10-year problem? But make an appointment. Okay?
okay?
We're good?
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.
Drive safe.
Driving home.
Thank you.
Look forward to
My
seeing you.
pleasure.
Very
My pleasure. Thanks for coming. My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for coming out.